This bill takes the legislative salaries from $49,000 to $82,000. There's legitimately nobody who believes that we should be paid $82,000. Maybe a couple of you on the dais may think that, but I could assure you, no sane person thinks this is logical, okay? We don't deserve it. This is a part-time job. But, okay, so just my word on how crazy it is might not be good enough, I admit. So the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, as May of 2022, lists 492 full-time, state-level, regular working people jobs that will get paid less than you. 492 will get paid less than a part-time legislator. These include roofers, tax preparers, zoologists, I'm not going to read them all, healthcare social workers, carpenters, paramedics, correctional officers, occupational therapy assistants, firefighters, riggers, lighting technicians, brick masons, pipe layers. You'll get paid more than all those people for a part-time job. Madam Chair, and members of the majority party, you're not getting paid by the handshake here or by the parade, okay? You're getting paid for legitimate work. And you have a part-time job. Making $82,000 a year is an absolute insult to the people that you represent. I can't even believe that you might think it might even be okay. It's insane. And then, another part of this, and Madam Chair, pardon me, but there's a lot in this bill. So, another part of this bill, we're going to take the commissioners' salaries from $175,000 to $210,000. And one of the arguments that I've heard on the other side, and I'm happy, I'd be loved to debate this today, is that $175,000 isn't enough. That we can't recruit the right talent. We need to pay them more in order to attract the right people to be commissioners. So I have a deal actually for you. I'll vote for this bill if you agree to fire every commissioner, every one of them, and hire better people the second the bill is signed. But you're not going to do that because the reality is you just want to give the existing people more money for doing the same job. And oh, by the way, they're all political appointed positions. The political hacks get these jobs, not the best CEO out there to lead a 4,000-person organization. That's not the criteria you choose. They're friends of a friend that get jobs from the governor. That's what they get. They do not deserve $175,000 to begin with, let alone $210,000. Madam Chair, the insanity of this bill is never ending. But I have a solution, Madam Chair, because I don't want to just give you problems with no solutions. So I have a deal. I'd like to make an amendment, offer an amendment, Madam Chair, that will bring some measure of normalcy to this completely crazy piece of legislation. The amendment is this, and you should have a copy of it, but I'm happy to give it to anybody who wants to see it. The amendment would tie legislative salaries to the mean income in the state of New Jersey. You want your pay to go up, do a better job. And as of today, that would be $50,995. It's actually a $1,995 pay raise. You're welcome. And then if you do a good job and the salaries in the state of New Jersey go up, you get a pay raise. And if you do a terrible job and salaries go down, then you lose money. I think it's only fair. You raising your salaries to $82,000 is insane. But, Madam Chair, if I may pause and formally offer my amendment to Bill 5910, which will make the legislative salary $50,995, adjusted annually based on the 12-month period in accordance with the U.S. Census Bureau, and the raise will never be more than 2% a year.
The motion to table carries.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. If I may just finish up my remarks then. I'm just going to end with this. This is completely, okay? You got to know it. Raising our salaries to $82,000 a year from $49,000 a year is completely crazy. You don't deserve it. You don't deserve it. And it occurred to me that one of the arguments that may be made in favor of legislative salaries is that it's who wants to be in the legislature? You do all this work, you only get paid $50,000 a year, more than hundreds and hundreds of other jobs. But that argument shouldn't hold water either. In this last election cycle, 38 of the 40 general election races were contested. Lots of people want to be here in these seats. There's a lot of competition to be here in these seats. And if you think that members of the legislature are struggling, you need not go further than the legislative parking lot and look at the vehicles with assembly license plates on it to be assured that you're doing quite well. And it's Madam Chair, for that reason and for every other reason that I've articulated, I'm going to be a no. But I'd just be curious, we're here this is supposed to be an active participation. Like, I'd really like to hear from any one of you who's going to vote yes, why you think that members of the state legislature honestly deserve $82,000. I'm curious. If anybody's willing to share, I'd be grateful. Thank you. I may be moved.
Parts of this bill, Gary Scher and I started 18 years ago, right? And 18 years ago, the cost of living was extremely different. The cost of gas was completely different, cost for food, everything. But this bill doesn't just focus on us, right, Assemblyman? It focuses on our staff as well. And I think, to have a conversation about staffing increases is worthy of a conversation here today as well. I don't know about you, but, it's pretty hard to be able to staff our offices given the limitations that we have right now. These are fine individuals who are, many of them master's degrees, who have their own debt to pay for, and we're asking them to take, salaries of $40,000, and they can't live on that. And the way that our legislature is set up is unlike any other state, right? So we do get funding to be able to support an office and office staff. We do have OLS at our disposal as well. But we know that continuity of our staff is important. And to be able to retain staff is getting significantly harder and harder. So there's good stuff in this bill. I started off by saying that Gary and I started 18 years ago. You already stated the fact that you would put a 2% CPI, increase, per year or per term. I'm not really sure, but certainly if you were to look at the, at the number of years we've been doing this and the expense of out of pocket and the rising costs for doing so, we're well past what could be, $65,000, maybe $70,000 if we were to use your 2% CPI index, based upon our yearly salary. So, yes, I want to continue to do this job. Yes, I want to continue to do it because I believe I've done good work. But certainly, it should not be at the expense of me having to dig into my own pocket on occasion to be able to take away from my family. We spend a lot of time away from our family, and I think if you looked at what our average average hourly rate would be based upon, well, there's various calculations. I mean, we could divide the pie many different ways, but certainly the years of academic, years of service, years of time spent within this position, I think our salary should be, more than, $15 an hour. So when you're looking at calculations, again, we can split the pie many different ways. And we need to look at this bill in totality. We need to look at the good parts. So I'd love to have a conversation about the staffing portion of this bill.
Madam Chair, if I may just respond, if it's okay. It's okay. So the amendment I proposed did not have a 2% annual increase. I would be completely against that. What the amendment did was it would tie our salaries to the median income in the state of New Jersey, but if it were to go up by more than 2%, would limit it. So it wasn't an automatic like you suggested. I also just want to say that I do agree with you on the staff. We could use some more funding for the staff, which is one of three things in this bill. And I'm considering on the floor doing doing a division of the question motion, which would separate that out. So I hope that you would support that so we can vote uniquely on that position, which I believe we would agree on. But I would just be caution, not as legislators, to make it seem like we're struggling in our own pockets to pay for things. I mean, Assemblywoman, you have $70,000 in your campaign account that you can cover your gas expenses with. So, let's not pretend like you're struggling, because you're not.
Sit here and debate what I can take out of my own PAC fund and how I utilize it, and you can look at my withdrawals, so you know that I don't take it for gas money or tolls or anything of that sort of nature. So I'm pleased the fact that we agree on the staffing and the fact that the staff, increases need to occur. But look, I didn't set the rate of 82,000. I'm not so sure that I personally would have set the rate at 82,000, but do I feel that the legislature, when I tell people how much time, they say to me, Pam, how much time do you spend doing this job? I spend a significant amount of time doing this job. Yes, it's part-time, and yes, I have another full-time job, and I tell everybody I give up a lot of my time, to do this job, time that I could be doing other things. I don't complain about it. I've signed up for it. I want to do this job. So, the point is here is that, there should be some monicum of increase, for us. We are more full-time than many other legislatures. There are legislatures that, within their 2-year cycle, they only meet for 3 months out of the 2 years. 3 months out of the 2 years. I don't know about you, but I've been coming up here a lot this month, in the month of December. A tremendous amount this month of December, okay? So our part-time is more considered almost a full-time sort of status, because it's not just our time spent here. And I don't know, we don't keep time of how much time we're in our legislative offices in district and how much time we're spending, doing meetings and everything else that's calculated in all of this. So I don't know. I think, we deserve a little bit more than 49,000. Do I feel it should be 82? I'm not really so sure about that.
And just for clarity, we didn't meet from June until November.
I believe
Yeah.
I am privileged. I'm privileged because I can come and do this job. But in case there's something that maybe the opposite side doesn't know, so I'm privileged because my parents help me with my children. After school or now with the baby when I go back to work. But if I didn't have that, making $49,000, paying for gas, I don't think I'd be able to do this job as a female with young children. And I think that looking forward, if we're really trying to expand what this legislature looks like, it's nice to see a single mom. We've actually had that, Angie Jimenez. So we've all seen some of the struggles that a lot of other of our colleagues that have multiple children have gone through. And making $49,000 with the time that we do spend, yes, it's a privilege to be here, but we wouldn't be able to look different and come from different backgrounds if we don't have additional help. I will tell you clearly that if, God forbid, my parents tomorrow cannot watch my children, I don't know if I could afford to come here. Because the time that I spend here, and you know that for budget, especially, or June, the late nights, or even now today for lame duck, as a female legislator, yes, I make a decent living, but I don't think I could afford for childcare for all those extra times that I'm here after 5 p.m. Or how much money I spend on tolls and gas. And I'm not saying that you're right? Whether it's 85, I don't think that doing pay raises is ever easy, but I would like to see us diversify what we do when we do have new legislators coming, because we all bring different aspects to what this job entails. A lot of people don't know that, but that is, my story. I have now 3 kids, paying for formula and diapers. Many of us maybe might be out of that. It's expensive. My daughter's on Alimentum. That's $13 and change a bottle. But I am privileged. I have a great support system. I have a husband who works hard. I work hard, and we do make a decent living, right? But I would like to see other female legislators have the opportunity to serve like I have. I know that we've done even things in the past where being able to use campaign funds for childcare, right? And that was kind of like a hands up in the air, oh my goodness, what are we allowing? But it's to allow people that have different backgrounds and opportunities to be able to serve, because I think what makes the state of New Jersey great is that we have different backgrounds and we bring different perspectives. We might not always agree, but I think that kind of having those different perspectives and those different analyses is what makes the legislature great. Just like all of you, right? We're all from different backgrounds. Jay, I know you have a plethora of kids, like we always joke around. But I think that's what makes us unique. So that pay raise, you're right. For some of us, it's even more of a privilege. But for some of us that might not have it like that, it gives us an opportunity to do something that we are privileged to do.
Assemblywoman Pinterman, while the argument you gave was emotional, I think it's completely inaccurate and just not at all what reality. The fact of the matter is there are 492 different jobs in the state of New Jersey that make less than you're about to pay us. And there are moms and dads and people of all different ethnicities that participate in all of those jobs. I mean, by your argument, we should make the mandatory minimum salary for anybody $82,000 so that everybody has an opportunity. It's just not, it's not reality. I mean, healthcare social workers make $71,000 a year. Librarians only make $73,000 a year. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. Because you are a legislator doesn't put you in a position where if you don't have an $82,000 salary, you can't participate in the job. And while it's an emotional angle that you're doing, it's just not real. I mean, it's not. So yeah, you're privileged to be here, okay. But some members of the Democratic Party are also privileged in many other ways, where you have a funnel of money that comes to your campaign accounts, that you can use to pay for child care. And a Republican member who's in the minority in Warren County can't. So should you give some of your $265,000 in your campaign account to that person so they can pay for child care to even it out? You're not going to do that. There's no actual logical reason to pay part-time legislators that much money. Just to remind you again, you didn't show up from June until November. We didn't have one thing from June until November. I mean, if you can't, that's not even a part-time job. That's almost a no-show job. Come on.
My salary goes to a lot of my community. When I think about all of the things that I do, I think about the saying, to whom much is given, much is required. I've paid for summer camp. I've paid for tutoring. I've paid for shows to theaters. I've paid for going to exhibits, coding lessons. I've paid for soccer teams, baseball teams, lacrosse teams. I've paid for uniforms. I've paid for sneakers. I've paid rent. I've paid for uniforms. And the list can go on and on out of my legislative salary. So when you talk about the need, this $49,000 isn't enough in all of the need that needs to be done in my district. I don't have a plethora of money in my campaign account. I choose to do this because this is something that I've always done from my time here in the legislature and the time that I served on city council. I felt like I should give my money back to the community where it is needed. So do we need a pay increase? The needs of my community have not gone away. They've only increased. So this funding that would be coming towards us only goes back to my community. And so I look forward to supporting this. And I also look to supporting the other pieces that are in this legislature, including my staff, who take on a lot of responsibility in my absence as we go around. This job requires above and beyond what a full-time job does if you do it correctly. And I do my job extremely well, and I would like to be able to do more.
So I just want to say, running for office is a choice. And if you want to spend money on going to shows and everything else you listed, that's your choice. And by the way, you have $90,000 in your campaign account. So most people here would not consider that not so much money. Madam Chair, there are times when this body does bills that someone could argue that they were convinced that what they're about to do is the right thing and they did it for that. This is not one of those times. What you're doing is totally wrong. Every one of you knows it's wrong. And you should be ashamed of yourself if you vote yes. I'm a very, very, very strong no.